Myers Metal Detectors, located in sunny Tampa, Florida, where we sell nothing but fun and adventures, treasure hunting gear, and anything you can imagine for metal detecting. Give us a call, 813-237-1939. Happy hunting and dig deeper.
Live from sunny Florida, it's Treasure Talk.
Hello.
Welcome to everybody on Treasure Talk. We've got an exciting show tonight, don't we, Jeff?
We do indeed. We're going to talk about some new stuff.
Yes, new stuff and some one of the best manufacturers for coil products, for MineLab and I guess another detector too. So
Yeah,
it'll be an exciting show for sure. And we've got some specials on that too. And we'll pop that up on the screen whenever you want me to, Jeff. I'll pop that on the screen. But I guess next week is the treasure hunting report, isn't it?
it is. The next week is the Treasure Talk Worldwide Digging Report.
Digging report.
So all of our bureau chiefs are busy getting information together for the digging report next week.
Absolutely.
And then we've got we're into May.
Yes.
And then we've got on the 12th, we're going to talk coins with Richard from Coinocopia.
Awesome.
And then on the 19th is going to be a very, very special show. It's going to be the Captain Fizz Memorial Show. Fizz's wife and daughter and son will be on, and a couple of other people that were partners with him, and we're just going to talk about Fizz's life. There's a lot of things that his wife and daughter and son are going to share that you may not have known about Fizz, so it's something we just felt here at Treasure Talk. Phil and I and Jocelyn, we just felt that we thought so much of Fizz, and he's always been so good to us that we just needed to do a memorial show for him. So if you've got any questions about Fizz's life, please tune in. You're going to hear some good Fizz stories, and it's going to be a very special time, I think.
Right. And memories, if you want to post a memory, be sure to tune in and do that for sure.
That's for sure. That is for sure.
Well, I guess I ought to do our housekeeping, huh?
You should.
Okay, folks, as always, today's show is brought to you by your friends at Myers Metal Detectors, where we sell fun and adventure and all this stuff behind me here. And of course, the views, thoughts, and opinions expressed here by the Treasure Talk guest and member belong solely to the guest and the member, not necessarily to Phil Myers, Jocelyn Myers, Myers Metal Detectors, or Jeff Bonin.
True.
And of course, the purpose of Treasure Talk is to promote the hobby of metal detecting and treasure hunting in all forms, and to educate our members in a fun, informative manner. And that's exactly what we're going to do.
That is correct. And to add on to the housekeeping, if there's any odd opinions or anything on the show, they belong to Joe Big Poppy Vizzy.
And if I've done anything wrong all week long, if I make a mistake on shipping anything out, like forgetting to put in the coveted Treasure Talk towel, it's always it's Joe's fault.
Oh, sure it is. Sure it is. So I see we got Derek Sherwin from the UK in the chat. Angie must still be recuperating, so we want to definitely send her our best to get well soon, because they got to join the digging report soon.
Yes, from over in the UK for sure.
Yeah, and we're always on the lookout. I need reporters for the Midwest and West. So if you're interested, get up with me. TreasureTalkShow@gmail.com. Let's talk about it and see what we can put together.
Absolutely. Well, I guess I've yacked enough. You think we need to bring our guest on?
Well, let's talk about the specials first.
Oh, pull the special up real quick. And that is on the, I got to get my mouse here working right. Darn it.
I got it.
Oh, you did it. There you go. 20% off all Coil-Tek
coils.
Yeah, coil. And we got all different sizes. We've got the 18-inch, the 15-inch, the 14x9, the 10x5. That's my go-to coil for coin and relic hunting in trash areas, and also for competition hunts on the beach. I just clean up with that coil. That's just super fast. I don't even pinpoint. I'm just, because everything's real shallow, so you want to use the coil quick, and that's the one I use there. But yeah, 20% off, and I said I've got a date on there of May 1st is the end date, so you want to get it quick, and we can ship it out Saturday. Big Poppy will be here, and we'll get it done for sure. And then,
hey, the coils don't get any better than Coil-Tek.
no, there's no coil ear problems. I mean, these guys are perfect, and they work for the Equinox series. All the Xterra, Xterra Elite, Xterra Pro, Xterra Expedition Pack, and Equinox 600, 700, 800, 900, all those coils work on those detectors. And then we have in that picture there's the 18-inch MythTech, the one for the Manicore. And Joe and I are going to do some testing on jar of coins at like 2 and 3 feet deep and see how they perform with that, maybe even deeper. So,
well, yeah, I mean, if you want, we were talking earlier, and you were saying something about you want to try that 18-inch coil. You sure you want to dig a 3-foot deep hole?
I'm going to use a post hole digger, and we'll film me doing it. Well, I'll make Joe do it. We'll make him do it.
We'll make him dig.
We'll make him dig the hole. Yes.
You can narrate and film.
Yes, and put a jar of mason jar of coins in there and see how it does. Because a lot of guys are out there looking for caches of coins on old properties.
Yeah.
To me, that would be a good thing to use. Because I think that type of hunting is really cool if you could find a cache.
Yeah. Well, I would wait till it's probably almost 100 and very humid.
Yes. Today,
I think guess what we're doing today?
We were in the 90s today, Jeff. So
yeah, we were almost at 90. So
hey, my boss over here is asking if we're ignoring the guest.
No, we're not.
I didn't think so.
We're talking about his products.
Yes, we are talking about his coils. Yes, for sure. So
I guess we better
bring him on and
bring him on. Yes.
Take the special down. Yes.
Yep. All righty, everybody. You all know this young man from Down Under, and it's going to be a ripper tonight because he's going to talk about new products he's got. And there's a new detector out in Australia. We're going to touch on that and see what's shaking with that. So here's Trevor from Coil-Tek. Hey, Trev. Can you hear us?
I can't hear him.
Uh-oh. Did we? He's got his sound off or something.
I don't have
He's got his mic muted.
There you go.
That's better. That's better.
How you doing, everyone?
There he is.
Thank you for having me on. Is that better? I can.
Yeah, it was much better.
My microphone's doing weird things, so.
Well, it was muted for some reason.
Yeah.
Well, Trevor, for the folks who don't know, you tell us where you're at, and
Sure.
put that other background on for a second. That was really cool.
Yeah, that's me in the Bahamas. No, me in this is we went a couple of weeks ago to Tasmania in Australia. We flew over there and did a week's tour, my wife and I, and I took this photo in one of the rainforests that's there. So they have a beautiful cold climate rainforest. So yeah, Trevor from Coil-Tek. We're based in Adelaide, Australia, South Australia. So if you look us up, you'll be able to find us. We manufacture metal detector coils and accessories. Have been doing so since the early 90s. And obviously, as you two both know, and hopefully the listeners out there know that, we've been continually innovating and creating new products for the Minelab series of detectors over, especially the last 15, 20 years, really trying to make sure that there's other opportunities out there and diversifying and choice for the treasure hunters and prospectors out there, because not one coil will do everything for you out in the field. You'll need a range of coils to be able to really maximize your treasure hunting and the performance for the detectors as well. So thank you for having me on again. It's been good. I'm sorry if I'm a little bit rusty in my throat. I'm just getting over a cold that I caught from those damn Tasmanians. So
what it was,
yeah.
you should not eat barbecued Tasmanian devil.
That's right. Yeah, it came up and it jumped and it attacked me at the neck and gave me something. So yeah, you got to watch out for them. They're a bit like the drop bears here in Adelaide, you know, that drop out the trees and attack your skull. So yes, everything here in Australia kills you. Remember that. You know, we got spiders, snakes, and humans as well. So it's yes.
We have a bit of that going on.
You got a bit of that as well. Yeah. Now, thanks for having me on, and hello to everyone watching and listening.
All right, Trevor. So you've got some new coils coming out. As you were showing us that. Why don't we talk about that for a little bit?
Super exciting. We've been planning on this for around 8 to 12 months, and we've really sort of, especially at the start of the year, we started to really develop them even more. And I'd like to introduce you to our new Elite Max series. Maybe I'll get rid of this background because they're green. They disappear.
They disappear.
So they are camouflage. See, here we go.
There we go.
So this is our new Elite Max series. We're doing them in 3 sizes: the 9-inch round, a 10x5 elliptical, and a 14x9 elliptical as well. And these primarily suit the Minelab GPX 5000 gold hunting machines, the 5000, the 4500 and earlier. So for people that do use them for treasure hunting or gold hunting, these are now a fully submersible to 1 meter or 3 feet coil. So, and they're an upgrade to our older camouflage Elite series. And this is a new series out that we've got, the Elite Max. And very, very excited. They're actually on sale here in Australia on the 30th of April. We are shipping a bunch of them over to the US today, actually, so they might not get there till a bit later this week. So I do apologize. We didn't hit the release date exactly for the US, but it's been quite a bit of chaos, organized chaos, I must say, but chaos to try and get all these coils built and released in time. So they'll be available in the US as of next week, first week of May.
Now, do you ship them in a boat or are they aired in?
Yeah, they're aired in. So we package them carefully into sort of shipping cartons and then put them on DHL Express and send them over to our distributor in the US, and then he'll send them all out to the dealers from there.
Okay, perfect. You know, I don't have a whole lot of gold detector sales because where I'm at here in Florida, but I have sold a few. You know, people they'll just special order. I just don't have that in stock. I just have your other coils in stock for sure, which you can see behind me. But anybody's go out there gold prospecting on the show, we can certainly get those coils for you for sure.
Yeah.
From the distributor.
Yeah, absolutely. This is our first fully waterproof series for the GPX 5000. The old Elite series were only water resistant, but these Elite Max are now all fully waterproof. So we've got 3 sizes. We have discontinued our old Elite series with the camouflage color. They are no longer available. If there's any legacy or older units or coils that are still in stock over in the US, then they'd be the last of that. We're not producing them anymore. We're switched our focus onto these new coil range.
Okay, cool.
Well, I think that would be beneficial for those coils to be waterproof. If it's, you got a gold detector, there's times, if you're out in the, let's say the mountains and you're looking for gold, it could be, some little ponds or stuff where the gold could be underneath. Or even if you're out looking at the beach and you want to find nothing but gold, that's the way to go.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of gold is traveled through its history through streams and rivers and waterbeds and you know, some regions around the world are quite wet where the gold is, you know, South America. Even we've got people in New Zealand and Tasmania that can use these coils now in the streams and look for the nuggets that are caught in between the bedrock crevices and that have been brought down from the main mountains that it was born from and just traveled its way down through the streams. That's really how the gold travels, is through the watercourses and events that have happened throughout the millions of years. So, and it now gives people that like using these detectors as well for treasure, you know, down the beach or sometimes around wet ground. I mean, even if you're in the rainstorm, you know, you can, when it stopped and the ground's super wet, sometimes going out with a water resistant coil only can still have the water get inside to the coil because there's so much moisture around, where now these ones can handle that wet grass and wet ground a lot easier. So yeah, very, very happy to have these ones out. We've had some really strong initial pre-orders from Australia and the US, which is fantastic. And, you know, really happy to bring those out. The team's doing a great job. We're hitting our targets for production, which is really good. And, yeah, just looking forward to having them out in the field and seeing, you know, what people put up on YouTube. And as you know, there's always people out there doing tests and their own opinions and things like that, which is fantastic. So,
yeah, well, we got a couple of questions stacking up here, Trevor.
Yeah, we do.
One from James Habovic. Does having a bigger coil give you deeper targets?
Yeah, definitely. The larger the coil, the larger the magnetic field that it produces. So as we go bigger, the broader the field is as well that is emitted from that coil, which means larger targets can be seen at better depths. As we go smaller with coils, the field reduces and comes down, which means it's more sensitive to those smaller targets. So bigger coils are traditionally and will normally go for larger depth. And, you know, like the 18-inch on beaches, those sort of things, Phil would concur that, you know, people are finding good coins at good depth with those larger coils.
Absolutely.
We got one from Tom Becker, too. Take it, Phil.
Yeah, Travis, how do you decide how deep to waterproof a coil? That is a good question from Tom Becker.
But he meant Trevor.
Yes, that's
Trevor,
fine.
I'm sorry.
I've been called worse things, that's for sure. A lot of the times it's governed by the parts that are in the coil. So we have a strain relief here that is IP rated in these coils. They are a hollow coil inside. They're foam filled. They're not fully potted with epoxy. So these ones being foam filled, there's like a little breathe hole that's on the side of this as well, which helps regulate pressure internally. And we put a little one-way felt pad on there, which means air can pass through this pad, but water molecules and dust molecules can't get into the coil. So as you go in different pressures, which is underwater and then above, also sometimes you take these coils out of a car that's, you know, 30 degrees Celsius or, you know, 80, 90 Fahrenheit, and then you take it out and you go straight into the water, this thing shrinks and you can get a lot of suction internally, which means it will suck in the water. But by having pads and strain reliefs done up properly with hollow coils like this, it will not get that water inside. But as far as determining the depth, a lot of it is governed by the features that are on the coil here. So these Nitto pads, these pads that we're using here, the statistics say it can go to 1 meter for an hour. So, you know, if this was sat in the water for about an hour, it's waterproof for that. And most people won't sit in the water for an hour or leave this in an hour. They're in, they're out, you know, of the water streams and whatever they're doing. So the governance can be depending on the parts that we use for the coil. And then you've got the fully potted coils, which are like the ones Phil showed before, the little 10 by 5 fully potted coil that are hollow and spoked like that. even the ones on his back wall up there, which are the 18-inch for the Manticore and the Equinox series, those ones have fully potted epoxy channels where the windings sit. And by fully potting them with epoxy, it removes any air gaps, which means those coils can go down very deep. They will go deeper than the detectors rated. I think the Equinox is 1 meter or 5 meters or something like that, which
16
is 15 feet.
16.
16 feet. So the coil will actually go a lot deeper than the detectors rated to, because we've removed all the air gaps that are inside there, which means there's no pressure buildup from external pressures like when you're going down deep. So essentially, when we fully pot a coil with epoxy, that'll help it go down very deep because there's no air gaps and everything's tight in there. Hopefully that answers it.
Well, we got another question here from Rick T, and he's saying, would a gold sensitive coil help find jewelry on the beach?
Yep, definitely. A gold coil or a pulse induction machine will actually have probably better depth capability than a multi-frequency machine like Equinox. So if you run a GPX 5000 with a 14x9 on the beach, you'll get some really good depth for jewelry in that. The downside is you'll have no discrimination. So you'll just basically have to dig everything. So it depends whether you like that discrimination or not, or if you're after pure depth and happy to dig everything, then you can use a pulse induction machine on the beaches for the gold coils. And then that way you're gonna, like I said, dig everything, but you'll definitely get deeper targets with a pulse induction machine, like something like a GPX 4500 or 5000.
And I've never used one of those, Trevor. Would they work on the salt beach okay? With that
Yeah, they'll be okay. The salty conditions can increase a bit of conductivity through the coil, so you may get a little bit of falsing in the wetter sand. That might be a little bit difficult, but haven't really tried a lot myself of the 5000s on the beaches because they're not really suited to that sort of condition, mainly because of the discrimination and potential salt conditions. But if there's anyone out there that does use a GPX or a gold machine, purebred gold machine from the beaches, that's listening or can put something in the chat, it'd be good to hear from them as well. Most of the time people don't use those machines for that because of the fact that you're digging everything. Like, it'll see the tiniest bits of foil and jewelry, but right through to the deep cans that really no one wants to find anyway. So
years ago when I started in this hobby, I had a PI and I used it on the beach, but then a lot of people were using those 30 years ago. And now if you're the only guy digging all the iron on the beach, it's no fun, because it's all being left there.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah, but
another question.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, lastly, we all know that these new machines have some sort of overlap with junk targets and good targets. If the gold rings come up at 13, 14, which could be a ring pull or something like that as well on some of the target, on some of the identifications. So, if you're not digging everything, are you missing stuff? It's sort of a hard one to sort of know. You could try it one day and just go, bugger it, I'm just gonna leave it on all metal and let's just see what happens, and you'll be pretty strong and tired at the end of the day, but at least it'll tick the box whether it's good. But especially the Manticore and Equinoxes, the refinement of those target IDs is very good. So
yes. Yeah, I wouldn't do it, but I know some people would probably try that micro jewelry hunt for really tiny pieces of gold jewelry for sure that you're not going to get real deep with other detectors. We did have a question from Scott Beck, and he says, do you make any coils for the Gold Monster 1000?
No, we don't make coils for that one, unfortunately. So yes, nothing for that one. Yeah, we only make coils for the Equinox series, like you said, Xterra. We make coils for the SDC 2300, which is a Minelabs compact gold machine. the Manticore, the GPX 5000 and 4500 and older legacy machines, and the GPX 6000 gold detector as well. We used to make coils for the E-Track and the Explorer series. They were very good legendary machines back in the day, and we used to make coils for those. But since they've all been discontinued now, we don't make those coils anymore either. There is a new, you did touch on a new detector that's come out here in Australia, and it's just starting to find its way into the US, which is a very economical pulse induction machine called the Algo Force 1500. It's a pulse induction, and it's a bit of a hybrid that can do gold and treasure as well. So that's creating a little bit of a stir here in Australia and getting a bit of traction. It's a really good price point. It actually does suit these Elite Maxes as well, because the technology is based or has some similarities to the older legacy SD GP machines from Minelab back, 25 plus years ago or whatever it is now. So, that is a new detector that's coming out. Like I said, Algo Force 1500. Pulse induction, and people are using it for coin and treasure as well as gold hunting as well. So
shoot me that guy's information, the name, and an email or something. I'll get him on the show. We can find out about it.
Yeah.
That I will. I'll see if he wants to do that for sure. He's a bit of a private fella, but I can do nothing but do an introduction and see where it goes from there.
Perfect.
And I'll explain everything to him. Now, is that machine waterproof? Do you know? You may not know, Trevor.
It's not. No, our coils will be, but the machine is not.
Okay. We did have a question from James Havovic. You want to take that one, Philip?
Yeah, when you're changing to a big coil, do you need to do a factory reset on the detector?
No, you don't need to. It's a choice, but there's no real need to do a factory reset to go back, because obviously you've got some settings saved in there that you may want to keep. It's really plug and play. Our coils are designed to be plug and play. You don't have to change too much. Probably the only thing you might need to change is sensitivity and some tracking speed or something like that. But ultimately, you just take the old one out and plug one of ours in and connect it all up, and away you go. You don't need to do any factory preset at all.
Okay. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, I don't think, it would knock out all your settings that you had saved if you did that. So. Yeah,
that's right. I mean, there has been speculation over the years to do it because it makes the coil run better, but I've never done it. I don't know too many successful stories of it happening and all of a sudden the thing's working better. But it is a preference. It's a choice if people want to do it.
What about the weight? Let's talk about the weight on that 18-inch coil.
Yeah,
that's the big bad boy for the Manticore. You got one right there, Phil, don't you?
Yes, I do.
How heavy is it?
I've got
I don't know the weight off the top of my head. Well, actually, this one is for the Equinox, but you would know the weight, right, Trevor? You know?
Yeah, of course I do. Hang on, let me just pull up my website to find out. But of course I know the weight. Yep, hang on.
It's really not that. It's not really that heavy if you use a sling on it.
34.6 ounces, 34 ounces, 980 grams, so just under a kilo. Look, it's a real hard one, the weight debate out in the world, because obviously everyone wants something super light that they can work for as many hours as possible, but yet they still want it big. They still want it to work, and they want it to be waterproof, and they want all these other things. So we're not claiming that our large 18-inch coil or any of our coils are the lightest on the market, because ultimately we like making our coils robust to last. We do our best to minimize weight out of all the coils, but as you go bigger, you've got more material naturally in the whole
Mhm.
unit. So there's nothing we can do too much about, weight factor sometimes, because the thinner you go on wall thickness for plastics, the less material you tend to have with epoxies or foams or whatever, you're really going to start to make that coil just snap. You'll use it for a few hours, you put one bit of pressure on it this way, then that way, and then bang, something happens and goes crack, and then it's no good. So if people are struggling with weight, or weight is an issue because we're all not growing younger, and other things happen, like Jeff bench pressing, his knee goes or something like that, and you need a bit of an extra assistance, then I'm sure, Phil, you've got some nice harnesses there that people can use.
Yes, my lab has a chest harness that would work perfect, or the other one I have used before is the Detector Pro sling, and it just goes over your shoulder, and it's a bungee type of piece, and it just takes the weight off of your arm.
Yeah, I've heard that's a good one.
Yes, it is.
What is the difference depth-wise and weight-wise, let's say from the 15 to the 18?
Weight-wise, you're probably looking around about 5 ounces. I can pull that one up here as well. You'd think, me making a lot of these and actually doing all the wording and getting all the tech specs, I'd have it all in the top of my brain, but, my brain seems to not be working as well as it used to. So 29 ounces approximately for the 15 inch, and what we say, 36 for the 18 inch. So, roughly sort of 6 ounces or so difference in weight, which could be proportional to the increasing in size, being 3 inches bigger. And as we go down, we've got the 14x9 size for the Knox, which is quite a thick walled coil, and it is a little bit heavier than I would have liked to have made it. But it is how it is. But that one still actually performs really well, and we do promote that one more as the water hunter. So, in the surf, in the water, in the beach and streams and things, because it's there it is. Because it's quite a robust coil, and it does have a little bit more weight, you'll find that it's super easy to push through the surf and just work in the water. And that one would be my go-to water coil.
Oh, very good. You see this question, Phil?
Yeah, I did, but Jocelyn's just over there showing showing that coil, and she says I'm being like Vanna White, so showing the coil.
That's all right. You got your glitter dress on.
Yes, I do. So this is a good question. Do larger coils pull battery life down faster on the detector? That's a good question.
That's a really good question. It really is. And it's probably not as easy to just say yes or no. There's probably a little bit of other factors as well. For me, I've always been one to say that no, it shouldn't bring it down too much difference. You might find a little bit of difference because larger coils will see more targets, deal with more ground, have more responses, which means any audio response, any noise that you're getting from detector is consuming battery life because it's working. So the larger the coils tend to draw a little bit more power because they're working more, because they're dealing with more ground, they're dealing with more targets, they're dealing with more interference. So in general, they shouldn't be. If we had an inert, like them side by side, just on a bench top and just a 10x5 running and an 18-inch running, we just turned it on and let it go, there may be some differences, but ultimately the electronics inside the coil, the detector doesn't really know that it's got a 10x5 or an 18-inch on. It sort of does with depth tables. We do have that programmed, but ultimately the inductance and resistance that we have to meet for these detectors to work is the same in an 18-inch versus a 10x5-inch, which means the detector is essentially just getting a response from a coil that's been plugged in. It doesn't really sort of see any difference between them as long as we have the parameters correct for the coil. So my theory, I've never done soak tests and all of these tests before, but my theory is that side by side on an inert bench test where it's just humming along, just doing nothing with no noise, and they're both sort of just humming there, we'll probably find they'll be within, I don't know, I'm guessing 15, 30 minutes worth of time difference. Then it depends on how charged. You'd have to have the same charge in each battery. There's so many similarities you have to have. So essentially, it's going to come down to the bigger coils are seeing more targets, which means it's using more battery power. So there may be that lesser runtime because of that, not because it's a bigger coil. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So yes.
James Habovic wants to know, do y'all make a coil just for the beach use? Which I would think, you're making stuff for the Manicore, so it's going to work on the beach.
Yep, that's
and
correct.
The Equinox and all that, which brings us to another question, would be a two-parter that you can answer in the same way. And this one is from the Prospecting Mules. He says it's looking at getting the 14x9 for his Equinox. And he wanted, a little larger coverage area. He wants to know how it compares to the 11-inch. And I can tell you personally on that, when I was swinging the Minelab Equinox, I had the 14x9 Coil-Tek coil, and it's very well balanced. You get great coverage, and you get a little better depth, a lot better depth, really, than the stock Minelab 11-inch coil. So yes. You can't really tell much difference in the weight, but it's very well balanced, and the coverage pattern is outstanding.
Yeah, correct. You've just got that extra length there, isn't it, for that coverage? Just heading back to that beach use question from the gentleman before, I can't remember his name, James, I think it is. Thank you for the question. Yes. So essentially, coils are made to suit the detectors, and then the detectors have their specific abilities to run either on dry land, wet land, beaches, where their forte is. Most coils are not specific for any one area. They can just run no matter where. So we don't make a specific beach use coil. But like we were saying before, if you like hunting in the water, definitely sort of the 14x9, the 11-inch Minelab one's great. Or smaller is good for the water because you're getting less drag as you go through the water. So the larger 18-inch, I would say that one's probably not the best water coil. It's probably better for the wet sand and dry sand out of the water or in the very, very shallow surf because that one will have a lot of drag to it when you're trying to push it through the water, and you don't want to ruin any of the coil or your shaft or your elbows and arms as you're trying to push it through the resistance of the water. And then the two-part question was the 14x9, great choice, like Jeff said, great coverage. We'll have a little bit more depth than the 11-inch because we've just got a little slightly larger coil. So with elliptical coils, I always say, if you squash them to round, what size round coil would that be? So if you take a 14x9 and squash that, so that would be around about a 12-inch, 11.5, 12-inch if you sort of halved everything and squashed it to a round. So it'll have some similarities to the 11, but because we do have that 14-inch length there, you can see some better depth performance from it. There's not much you can do as far as taking weight out of that 14x9. If you're in the water, and whenever I hunt down at the beach, and if I'm in the water or on the sort of softer sand and it's not a rocky beach or really coarse beach, I'll take the skid plate off because that'll save me, 3 ounces, 4 ounces, 100 grams. And it also saves it getting filled up with sand and water, which will add weight as well. So for me, whenever I'm using those fully potted 18 inches or the Knox coils, anything that's fully potted with epoxy that's quite robust, and the conditions are quite soft, soft sand and in the water, take the skid plate off. I believe it'll be fine. It'll take you hours, and hundreds of hours to wear through that thing. But and none of us, I don't think any of our manufacturers, I'm not sure, say that it's void if you don't use a skid plate. It's really, you want to protect your investment. And if you're using it in rocky ground and smashing it around and wearing it through, then that's general use because you're obviously working it pretty hard. It's not a manufacturer's fault. So, that's my suggestion, but everyone's got personal preference. Did I answer both those bits, Jeff, of that question?
Yep, that was good. Now we're going to do a giveaway tonight, and it's going to be a Myers swag pack. You went in on this, Trevor?
Pardon?
You went in on the giveaway tonight?
Sure. Can I win it? Does that mean?
No, that means you can't win it. It means you can donate.
Sure. I'll donate a night out dinner for two down at your favorite restaurant. How's that sound? As well as a couple of merch packs. And Phil will be the guest of honor. There you go.
Well, that's going to be me in the end of May, but it'll include the coveted Myers towel.
Yes.
Cool.
And probably a Myers t-shirt.
Yeah, we'll get it loaded up. Just make sure to send the t-shirt size if you win, for sure.
That's right, because Big Poppy will be the one that's doing that, and you never know. It could be in Zazich. That's covered worldwide as well. So I noticed that, Patty Dirt Clod Metal Detecting hadn't been on for the last few weeks, so she's the one that ate the Zazich when she won it. So I don't even know if she's still with us. But anyway, let's get this up here so you can. This is what you put in the chat, exactly as I have it to be.
How do you pronounce that, Jeff?
Ripper.
Ripper.
It's a ripper.
It's a ripper, mate.
It's a ripper. That's it. And you'll be entered for the Myers swag pack and a merch pack from Coil-Tek, which, if I remember correctly, has a really nice rum cup.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you still have those, Trevor?
We've got a few left, I believe. Yes.
Okay.
Cool. I don't know how many, but I think we've got a few still left over in the US too. We sort of send a few over to our distributors, a couple of marketing packs to
okay, good.
for this purpose.
So
Yeah.
What you realize, Trevor, is when you send those over, if you try to get a hold of the distributor and he doesn't answer, that means he's been using the rum cup, huh?
Yeah. And if you don't hear from me for a while, it could be the same for me as well.
That's all right. You've earned it. After that barbecued Tasmanian devil, you might need it some rum.
Yeah, and Tasmania had some nice whiskies as well. I'm a bit of a whiskey fan, so they go well in that cup as well.
Yes, they would.
Yes,
So how about, did you see any of is it the Tasmanian tiger?
No, well, that would be a pretty amazing thing if I did, because it's certainly not, no one's seen it for years, I believe. There's rumors that people have seen things over there in the bush, but it's never saw anything like that. Didn't see any Tassie devils, actually. They're not sort of roaming the streets. They're definitely up in the forests and a little bit further away. Plenty of kangaroos and wallabies and those sort of things. Lots of wombats over there. The traditional Aussie stuff, that's for sure.
Well, what's really bad is if you're out there roaming around and you hear away, then you got to run.
Well, it's actually Hobart and the Launceston where we were is the third oldest town in Australia, and it was originally the penal colony from the British Empire. So dates back to the early 1800s. So it would have been great to do some detecting around some of the sites out there, but I didn't take a detector, and I'm not sure how legal that would have been, but it would have been. I think some detecting around that region would be pretty amazing.
It probably would. So let's go ahead. You ready to do this, Phil?
Yeah, let's do it. Why not?
Okay, let's get it over with.
It's a ripper.
Yeah, let's see. It did not.
Draw.
There we go.
Yeah.
Mark.
There we go.
No, Keeps going.
It's going to stop.
Cane Digger.
Cane Digger.
Cane Digger.
Cane
Okay,
Digger.
Cane Digger, you did good. You need to let me pop that up there for you.
Would that
We
be his
need
real
to-
last name, do you think? I don't know. It's a bit
No,
sus.
that says it's one of his handles.
Yes.
So,
Well done,
Cane
Gary.
Digger, you need to send your name, address, phone number, and T-shirt size
Yes.
to treasuretalkshow@gmail.com. I'll get it down to Trevor, and you'll get your merch pack with your rum cup, and you'll get the swag pack from Myers Metal Detectors, which could have many, many things in it. It will definitely have a T-shirt, probably a cap, and a coveted towel.
Over
And
town,
no-
yes, sure.
know what else could be in there. Maybe a size H.
We don't know. So, Trevor, let's get back to the. You said you make coils for the GPX 6000.
Yes. So that's for the purebred gold hunting machine from Minelab. They're called the Gold Hawk series. They are like a merino color, and they've been working really well. Downside to all of those at the moment is we've run into a bit of a supply issue with some of the parts that are crucial and critical to get these coils made. We've been dealing with it for about 3 months now. It's super frustrating. We've got people in the US, Australia, other international locations that are very much wanting these coils to use for their prospecting seasons, but unfortunately at the moment we're high and dry with product. So literally got nothing in stock here. We've got a lot of preparation happened waiting. So when the critical part does land, we can get straight into it. But yeah, at the moment it's a bit of a hiatus for it, but hopefully that'll keep the demand there. And once we can satisfy the demand, it'll get back to normal.
Yeah, no, that was one of Minelab's newer detectors, correct? The 6000.
Yeah, last couple of years, I think.
Yeah.
I can't even remember now. Probably 3 years. It goes so quick. I mean, I can't believe. Like you said, I heard you say it's May already. It's like, it's just gone too stupidly fast. So, yeah, at the moment, I think it's very important that we concentrate on these new Elite Max, get the 10x5 Noxes and Mythtechs. They're the coils that we can produce at the moment, and everything's moving along quite well. We also make a large 22-inch round coil for the GPX 5000s. We're getting a fair bit of interest to those at the moment as well from some of the sort of African and Middle East areas where there's a lot of treasure hunters over there, and they use them primarily for hunting for old treasure and buried treasure that's in the mountains and around the hills. So super cool to see some of that treasure out there. Yeah, we're just trying to keep everything as busy as possible. And we also do electronic componentry here as well as a contract manufacturer. So it's not just the coils we make. We have a second division to the company called Coil-Tek Electronics, where we do wire-wound components and electronic assemblies and contract manufacturing for mining, defense, medical, depends what is needed. So that helps with an income stream, keeps the staff employed. We've got 15 of us here now. And, it just keeps a bit of excitement around what we're doing. I'm actually going to an event next week where we're showcasing. We've got a stall in Melbourne, Australia, where there's an electronics event, and we're going to have a stall there where I'll be to chat about all the other bits and bobs we make as well. So,
Very cool. Now, when Minelab is going to come out with a detector, do they give you any pre-knowledge so you can work on and tell you what they're wanting you to make for them? Or you
Sometimes.
just kind of wait and see?
Yeah, sometimes. Usually we work on things 12 months after they've released something. So because they like having first bite at the cherry, and making sure that, it also helps iron out any bugs and things like that, you don't really see when you actually build these things like metal detectors and coils, and you do as much testing as you can with a dozen machines or coils or whatever. but there's nothing like getting hundreds of them out there and trying them on such an array and differences of machines. So usually we talk with MindLab a fair bit. There's no doubt about that. We have a really good relationship with them. They include us in some of the things that they're doing when they see fit, and when we ask as well. Sometimes you don't ask, you don't get. So we can be the squeaky wheel sometimes, which is really good. Our partnership with them is very valuable, and we do enjoy seeing what they bring out next, which will hopefully give us some opportunity as well.
Okay, Philip, now you're much more of a MindLab guy than I am, and you know more about the coils. So what do you think?
Well, I like the Equinox coils. The cool thing about those is they work on all the Xterra series, because a lot of people who are new to the hobby want to get something that's waterproof and multi-frequency to get on the beaches. And those Xterra Elites and Expedition Pack, those are nice detectors, and that you can add that 15 or 18-inch coil to it. It's a real nice feature. Yeah,
they're good detectors, aren't they? And a good price point as well. Especially for people sort of wanting to give it a good try and start their serious journey on into the detecting world. But yeah, you're right. They're really versatile, those Knox coils through the whole Equinox series. But I hear that MindLab's discontinued the 800 now, I believe. So
yeah, I think they discontinued the 600 and the 800, which they were still selling the 800. I thought they had an ad on them still over here in the United States, but I wasn't carrying them in the store because I think the 900 is more waterproof and the 700 is more waterproof than the 600, 16 feet. So theoretically, my thought was if it's waterproof to 16 feet, then there would be less chance of it leaking.
At 3 feet or 10 feet.
Because if you look at a 6-foot person and they're putting a detector in the water, it's only going to be a foot underwater anyway. So theoretically, it's a lot more waterproof. So hopefully nobody has any leak issues with them. And
now, isn't it true, Phil, that the 700 and the 900 were both a little bit more robustly built than the 6 and 8?
Yeah,
the coil ears specifically.
Yeah, the coil ears were re-engineered. Trevor didn't have that issue with his though, because I haven't. Have you experienced any coil ear breakage on yours?
Yeah, we've had the odd one or two, but I think that's mainly down. We've had, I think, one or two that were like a manufacturing defect, like a little hairline crack that you don't see, and then all of a sudden when it's out there and being used. So, and a couple, I think, where people have tried to use their detector as leverage to get up, and sort of the shaft goes out of straight and snaps the wings off quite clean at the bottom, and we know what that's sort of from. But overall, I would say it'd be less than 12, over nearly 10,000 odd coils. So we're pretty happy with that robustness out of all of them for sure.
Yeah, I just think that being that you can use it on all those different detectors is a cool feature. The 6, 8, 7, 9, or the Xterra Pro too. I know that's a single frequency machine, but hey, there's a market for that too. Because some
work
gets when I think about the detector I swung when I first got into detecting ages ago, and the technology today is just unbelievable.
Oh no, I know. Compared to, I remember when I first started working with MindLab in the mid 90s, we were packaging the Sterlings, the Tribunes, the Musketeers. We had Sovereigns.
Yes.
A lot of those older machines were just knobs and switches and a sound of a duck being squeezed around the neck inside, like it was really sort of analog but brilliant to see those machines. I think I've still got one or two of those old machines upstairs in my little detector archive up there, and you've probably got them hanging up as well, Phil, and some history there.
Yes, I have some. I may have another Sovereign still here, and I just sold one of those. People still want the Sovereign,
Yeah,
and
one of
and
my
it
favorites.
and I think it had a Coil-Tek watt is a WOT.
Yeah, 15-inch. Yeah,
Yes, it had the watt coil with it.
that
So,
was legendary. Yeah, that's right.
yeah, it was like to me, it was like the land version of the Excalibur too, because I know
Yeah,
some people wired those on their Excalibur also.
correct. Yeah, that's right. The Excalibur and the Sovereign were essentially the same platform, just different housings. So the Excalibur had the waterproof housing, but yeah, our first coils that Coil-Tek ever made were a 14-inch round mono for the SD 2100 and SD 2000 back in the mid 90s, and also a 15-inch round for the Explorer back in the day as well. And that's that platform, that 15-inch watt, which WOT stood for at the time, Wild Orange Thing, which was
Oh, okay.
nicknamed by a great dealer of ours, Doc Lusignant, in Nevada. He had Doc's Detecting, and big shout out to him. We worked with him for many years, and he was very proactive in naming all of our coils. So the big 15-inch coil at the time was nicknamed the Watt coil, and yeah, it became a bit of a go-to coil for people using Sovereigns, Explorers, E-Tracks in the later years. So yeah, very, very good legacy machines, and also the coils as well. And I think there'd be a few detector people listening and watching today that have probably had some experience with a watt coil at some point.
Yeah,
Well,
and
you know
probably
what, Phil? I might want that.
you might want which one?
The Sovereign with the watt coil.
Sovereign with the watt coil. Okay. Well, it's a little heavier than the Mind Lab machines today, but it's still
Yeah, yeah,
Very
it is.
analog and cool.
But if you know, it's you can go in knee deep, or as long as you don't get the control box in the
Correct.
water, you're fine.
yeah.
But you know, it's kind of a legacy thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
a bit of nostalgia and that as well. I think having some of those machines around, if you are into detecting a little bit, it's good to have those. I think the old Musketeers, we used to make the watt coil in the Musketeer platform. So we used the same housing, but just changed the internals to suit each different machine. And we used to have the watt coil to suit the Musketeer, and that would work on the Sterling and the Tribune, because that was all the same technology as well back then.
Right.
They just put it
Well,
in
the
different.
good thing about that Sovereign with the watt coil, Phil, and you'll know exactly what I mean. The way the beaches are being sanded in, you may want that because you're going to get 3 or 4 or 5 inches more with that watt coil
Right.
on because if you're not hunting in the water with the sanded in beaches, so it may be
Probably
yeah,
the biggest thing that I think people would have trouble now with some of these old Sovereigns, and that would be the batteries, wouldn't it? Unless you've got the alkaline battery pack, but
Yeah, you
those
can have a
rechargeable
battery
batteries.
pack. Yes, that is a problem for them today.
Yeah.
But Jeff, I see the time. We're at our 1 hour point.
we are. It's gone, gone, gone.
Always goes so quick.
It does, doesn't it, Trevor? Well, I wanted to
Yeah.
thank you for coming on here from way down under.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yes, and your coils are excellent, and hopefully we'll sell a bunch of them this week. And remember, folks, we got the special on it. And thank you, Trevor. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Jocelyn, for helping me out here. And thank you to our many members on Treasure Talk, Facebook, and YouTube.
Yes, indeed. We noticed that Grammar Time just got here and entered, and Grammar Time, Moonlight Graham, it's too late tonight, buddy.
But he still
that's
put it in.
okay.
Well done, Grammar.
That's right. That's
Well,
right. That's
Graham.
Moonlight Graham. So
Graham.
remember, folks, next week is the Worldwide Digging Report, Treasure Talk Worldwide Digging Report. All our reporters are out there gathering good information all across the country. Now it's springtime up north, so people are anxious to get out and dig. So we'll have some good reports, and we'll see you next week. Trevor, thanks so much for being with us tonight. It's always a pleasure.
It
and
is.
I will get up with you, and we'll see if we can get that guy on, and you can come on with him, and we'll have another great show. But we want to thank you for being with us tonight, and I hope you start feeling better from that barbecue Tasmanian devil. And we will see you again soon. Everybody, thanks for watching. Thanks, Phil. Thanks, Jocelyn. Happy hunting, everybody, and dig deeper with a Coil-Tek coil. 20% off. If Phil don't have it in stock, you don't need it.
You don't need it.
813-237-1939. We'll see everybody next week.
See you, everyone.